Hey there, everyone. In this video, I'm going to cover the Salesforce Maps tool that we have, some common use cases on why you would use it, how to get to there, how to use it, and then some common just tips and tricks on how to make it easier to navigate and get back to in the future so that you can automate some steps rather than having to manually do them each time. So I am logged in here as Jeff. So I do have a salesperson's viewpoint. So this will be exactly what you see when logging into Salesforce and getting started. So I'm here at the home screen in Salesforce. So you can always navigate here by clicking the down icon over here and then navigating up to home. On the right hand side, you'll see this helpful sales link section. And that fourth bullet down, you'll just see the words maps. If you go ahead and click on that, it'll open up Salesforce Maps in a separate tab. And I did that before this video loaded, or before I started this recording rather, just to save on some load time. And whenever I am recording and logged in as someone else, I sometimes get unforeseen errors. So I just went ahead and opened it up in this screen. When you first navigate to Salesforce Maps, let me calm my mouse down really quick. Essentially, you're just going to see a blank map of the United States, and your recent tab is going to be what you see, but yours will be blank because you have not yet looked at anything. So when you get in here, I suggest that you hit the saved button or save tab rather, and then you'll see two folders, your personal folder and your corporate folder. These are going to be the only two that you ever do see probably, and everything that our revenue operations team does will live in the corporate folder. So that's pretty much going to be the folder that you go to each and every time. So I'll click on that corporate folder. And when you click on that, you'll see two other subfolders and then a bunch of these other markers. I'm going to skip the markers for now. And I'm going to navigate to market maps. When we go to market maps, you'll see a list of all of the markets that we have, and by the airport code, because that's how we denote our warehouses, with the exception of our legacy Texas warehouses. And so if you wanted to, for example, see what's the serviceable area in Atlanta, you can do that one of two ways. If you go to ATL and you hover over, you can click these three ellipses here and say plot all. What that will then do is it's going to plot every single thing that we have in the Atlanta market. So ATL 1, 2, 3, 4, and then also any urban sections, which if you haven't gotten to that point yet, just relate to a different final price that we do charge them. Now, this is not helpful at this point because you can see, maybe plotted this little dot here in Atlanta, but we have to zoom in, which you can always do with these plus and minus buttons, or you can scroll or click and drag. But the easiest way to really do this is if you hover over any of these sections. So because there's multiple of them, I think there's 7 here, 6. If you choose one of these and you hover over the 3 ellipses, one of your options is zoom the map to fit your data. If you click that, it will automatically bring you zoomed in to that section and make that the focal point of your map. So very useful tool, especially if you're bouncing around from different markets to different markets. Now, one thing that I dislike, and unfortunately you can't change the default here, is this map view looks a little foreign to quite a few people at Fetch because we're used to looking at Google Maps all day, every day. That's just kind of what most people in today's age are used to looking at. So though it does suck that it's not the default, if you come up to the top, right next to this weather cloud symbol, there's a map symbol. And if you click down here, you'll see that Google Road is an option. So you can click on Google Road, and then very quickly it changes to a view that you are probably much more used to seeing. So unfortunately, you do have to do that every time. You can't set that as the default. Um, However, it's a pretty simple switch to toggle. Um, so that's how you plot different areas. So that's how you do Atlanta, or sorry, that's not how you do Atlanta. That's how you would do an entire market. Is you would come over next to the name of the market, hover over the ellipses, and hit plot all. Now, if you know you're looking at a very specific area that you want to target, I'll take Denver as an example here. You can also just choose one thing to plot. So if you click into the market itself, so let me just run through that one more time. So rather than clicking on the ellipse or hovering over the ellipses and clicking plot all, you can click on the folder itself, and then you can click on the area. So you'll see anything that says serviceable at the end of it is just going to be our serviceable range, and anything that has urban appended to it will be our urban radius, which something I skipped over that I should have called out here. Anything that is just the serviceable range is going to be in blue, this darker blue outline here with a more translucent shade. And then the urban zones are going to be in red. So if you plot something and it happens to fall in the red zone, then that's going to be urban. If it's plotted and it falls outside of the red, but still in the blue, that is going to be a suburban deal. And then anything that falls outside of all shapes is obviously going to be not serviceable. So, geez, sometimes my mouse has a mind of its own. So, say, going back to my example, I just want to see maybe the Denver 2 area. I'm just going to click Den 2, and it's going to automatically move over. We were in this saved tab over to the on the map tab. Just as it states, anything that is on your map is going to be on the map tab. And as you can see, it did not move my map at all. And this way, if I had to get over to that area, I would have to either zoom out and scroll, or just quite a few steps, which is why I think hovering over the ellipses here and then going to zoom the map to fit your data is your best bet. So if I click that, it takes me right over to the Den 2 area. So it's just a much better, much quicker way to navigate through the map. From here, you can do anything that you need to do. I just wanted to show you what it's like to navigate from one area to another, how to plot different areas on the map, also to help with your load times. Once you're done with stuff, so say you were done looking at Atlanta, you can just click these X's to get them off of the map. It'll just help navigating the area just be a little bit quicker. So, another thing that I do want to show you that is super helpful, and because I'm logged in as Jeff, he does go to Houston quite a bit. I'm going to show you how you can automatically get some of those service areas to plot on the map as soon as you click on maps. This way you don't have to manually click them each and every time that you navigate to Salesforce maps. So this is really helpful thing to do for some of the markets that you're going to a lot. So I clicked in Houston here, And if I hover over the ellipses, once I'm in the actual market subfolder, so you can't do it how you do plot all. So if you remember, when I'm in the market maps folder, if I hover over the ellipses next to the name of the market, I have the plot all option. We don't want to do it there. We want to click into the map itself. Once you are in the map, you'll see all the serviceable and urban zones. Once you're there, if you hover over the ellipses for each, you'll see that there's under this actions header, toggle plot on load. If you click that, you'll see one, it says success at the bottom, and then you'll see that it kind of creates a little circle around the polygon. That's letting you know that whenever you load Salesforce Maps, it's already going to plot on there Houston 1 serviceable zone. So you go ahead and do that for each one of these in the market that you frequent. And then this way, whenever you click on Salesforce Maps, all of those are going to preload for you so that you don't have to do the song and dance each time of coming to the corporate folder, going to the market maps, hovering over Houston, and plotting them all. It'll do that automatically for you. So really handy feature that I would make sure you utilize. Once again, that's going to be going into the map, hovering, or the market map, going to the market, and then plot on load. All right. So that's pretty much everything as it relates to shape layers, which are the polygons, aka the serviceable zones. Just I'm going to go ahead and plot all of Denver for my next example, which I'm going to talk to you about, which are called marker layers, which a marker layer is anything that has this green little market marker on it. I'm not really sure what the name is other than just marker. So if you remember, as we were navigating, all of the serviceable areas were outlined by this blue little polygon here. That means that is going to be a zone on a map. Whenever it is a green icon, it's going to be plotting specific places, geolocations on a map. So I'll do like all serviceable communities as an example. Or actually, you know what? That's going to plot a lot of things because we have almost 25,000 serviceable. So I'm going to choose this live properties option. So if I click on live properties, what this is going to do is go ahead and it's going to start analyzing the latitude and longitude, and then it's going to plot on the map the properties that we do service. Now, another default that I can't change and not happy about it is the fact that you see some of these plot by themselves and then these other like cluster. So you can see 13 here, 25 here, 3, 2. Salesforce Maps does that to save on load times, just rendering. But you can change that. If you hover over this green little button, you can click on render markers and then unclick render clusters. What that then does is make it to where everything plots a marker by itself and doesn't do any of that clustering. So this is what a marker layer looks like. And so if you can also click on any of these markers and you'll see the name of the community, you'll see the units, the property class, how it's doing its sentiment, its short code, and then its stage, so stable here. And you can also see that some of these are green and some are blue. If you go over to the left, you'll see that there's always a legend whenever you're plotting things that have different colors. And you can see here it is, okay, we have 148 onboarding properties, they're reflected in blue. 986 ones that are live, that's reflected in green. And if I zoom out here, you'll actually see that it is plotting this across the country. So you can see all of our live properties. Now, I'm going to zoom the map to fit my data one more time. Awesome. Now, if you ever wanted to specifically say, hey, I only want to see things in X area, there is a way for us to do that. And I'm going to show you probably a use case example here. So I'm going to X out of live properties, take those off the map. And I'm going to hit all serviceable communities. This is going to take a while to load. So just bear with me here. And also I see I'm at the 16 minute mark of this recording. So if you've made it this far, I appreciate that. And hopefully you'll be a Salesforce Maps whiz by the end of this. Alrighty. So once again, it did the clusters rather than the markers. So I will hit render markers and unclick clusters. All right. Now, just like I said before with the legend, anything that is marked in yellow over here, you can see is urban. Anything blue is suburban. Not sure why we have this one property over here by the airport marked as urban. It could be a very nuanced use case. So sometimes you'll see that those types of things occur. Now, let's just say we were doing a push in Denver 2 and you really wanted to focus on properties that are in Denver 2. What we can do is if you come over to this Denver 2 serviceable little card over here and you hover over the eye. If you hover over, you'll see the second option here is only show markers inside the shape. If you click that, I'll give that a click. What it's then going to do is take off all of the markers across the map and then say, okay, we're only going to show things within that service radius. So now you have all these properties that are only in Denver 2. Now, what's nice from this point here is if you wanted to export this list per se and then reach out to these folks, up in the top right or top left, sorry, you'll see you're always on layers. There's a routing option. You'll never really use that. A schedule option, same thing there. And then the last one is list. If you click on list, it's actually going to pop up a list, kind of like an Excel spreadsheet here. And you can see we have 371 communities in this list. And then you'll see that there's an export button that you can click and it'll export it just like, it'll export an Excel file that you can work through if you want to work that way. And you'll see we have the management company from ALN. We also have what we have in Salesforce. Most of the time they should match, as you can see here, Mercy Housing, Mercy, Virgin Health, Greystar, etc. We have the ALN owner name in here, the number of units, their address, their locale. Just want to point out that the Excel spreadsheet will have more than you see here. So in the Excel spreadsheet, we'll also have the property manager name, the regional's name, their email addresses, their phone numbers, et cetera, et cetera. So those are all like use cases for Salesforce Maps. The last thing that I want to bring up here before I end this video is it is pretty handy if you don't know and you're on a first discovery call or a follow-up second discovery call and they haven't let you know the name of the property yet, where it's located. They're kind of keeping their cards close to their chest. If you want to bring up maps on the call, and then they let you know, hey, our property is at XYZ location, can you service it? Well, I'm going to show you an example of how you can do that without having to have the community in Salesforce itself. So I'm going to use, did I just do? Yeah, ATX as an example. And I already had probably a bad example up. All right. So what I can do here is, if I have the area pulled up and all my serviceable zones, if they said, hey, the address is 1705 Guadalupe, which is our HQ address, it just pulled up too. There we go. If I click that, it's then just going to paste on the map. You see this red little dot where that address lies on the map. Therefore, you can tell them right off the bat, hey, yeah, it's going to be urban pricing, or it's going to be suburban pricing, and or like we can service it or we can't service it. Or if it's just right outside this line, you can say, hey, I can go ask for approval from our operations team. So that's going to be, I think, everything on the map side of the house that you'll need to know now. So if you have any questions, or any other features that you're curious about, or any other use cases, feel free to bring it to the revenue operations team. And if we can do it, we'll show you how to do it. And if we've never heard of it before, we'll try to figure out how to do it, and then show you how you can do it as well. So thank you for the time. And as always, have a good one. I'll see you in the next video.